This is More Than Work, the podcast reminding you that your self-worth is made up of more than your job title. Each week, I'll talk to a guest about how they discovered that for themselves. You'll hear about what they did, what they're doing, and who they are. I'm your host, Rabia. I work in IT, perform stand-up comedy, write, volunteer, and, of course, podcast. Thank you for listening. Here we go. Hey everyone, so today I have a guest who I have known for 20 years because my first job out of college is where we met, which was, back in San Diego at Pro Flowers. We both moved on from there, and we both moved on from that city as well. It's Patrick Alcoke. He's the co-founder at Find Your Steady. Thanks for being on, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Robbie.
So where am I talking to you from?
So I am here in Maryland, right outside of Baltimore.
Nice. And so you've been in Maryland how long?
We moved here from San Diego about 7 years ago when our first daughter was born.
And I've been out of San Diego, and then I went back. So I guess I was there more recently, but it's a lot different on the East Coast, I guess.
It is. It's one of those things where we probably talk about moving back to San Diego, my wife and I, 30 times a year. And then we'll go out there. And then once we come back for the next 3 months, we're trying to plan it. And then life kicks back in, and then we're still here in Maryland.
Yeah. No, I get it. I've faced that similar thing of, like, I went home last winter or for the holidays, and I was like, oh, I miss being home. But then I got back here, and I'm like, miss my life here, too.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's totally understandable. So let's just get right into Find Your Steady. So you want to talk a little bit about what the company is and what you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Find Your Steady was started by me and my business partner, Brian, who is another really longtime friend. I met him at college in Virginia Tech. We actually played in a band together back then. But it's us. He's here in Maryland, too, and we rekindled our friendship when I got back and have always been throwing ideas around. But when the pandemic hit, we were kind of approaching keeping our mental health in check, trying to just stay ahead of everything in different ways. And I've been a avid meditator and journaler for going on 10 years now. And he actually makes candles, and that's kind of his therapeutic activity. And we were talking one day, and he was showing me his candles, and I was like, these are legit. When he first told me about them, I thought he was going to show me like a mason jar filled with like melted crowns or something. But no, it was a really legit candle. And we started hashing it out, and I was like, yeah, I've had businesses in the past. I said, I'd love to help you bring it to market. And we kind of started looking around, and there's a ton of candle companies out there. And so it kind of got to how do we differentiate ourselves? And something that I've always, I'll say, worked on, and sometimes that means I'm working well, sometimes that means I'm struggling to keep my levels of stress down. I get pretty stressed out being a parent and entrepreneur and, person living through the past few years. Candles have always, to me, been linked to like de-stress, and you come in, you light a candle, it kind of sets the mood, whatever mood you're going for. I was like, what if we try to figure out a way to help people reduce stress, but we tie it to a physical product being a candle? And since then, we've actually came out with a journal as well. So that's really where all of this started. We have a web app built that has different tools people can use on a daily basis or on a weekly basis to just kind of find their steady. That's the best way to describe it. Like, find that medium place where you're not totally stress-free, because I don't think that's possible, but you're going through your day, you got a smile on your face, you can handle the challenges that come your way. Yeah, that's kind of what we're setting out to do. We're setting out to help people do the things they need to do to better manage stress. We just do it with a candle. As funky as that sounds.
Yeah. Well, and so just looking at your site and knowing a bit about your background with work, I mean, the website's very clean and simple, and you have basically, I guess, two products bundled in different ways, right? Is that fair? Like, you have candles and the journal, and then the different candles. And so what I've noticed is a lot of people will say, oh, I'm doing a company that does X, and then they'll do Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. And so how has that been for you to make the conscious decision to stay in your lane, so to speak?
It's really hard. Like, I totally get it when people start a company and then there's 15 things they're offering, because like when you're starting, like when you're small and you're starting this company, you get feedback from one person, and that's a good amount of feedback. So, if one person says, oh, I like this, but you should try this. And, when we're first starting, we're not selling very much. So like, oh my gosh, that's a great point. We should go do this and this and this. So you're trying to appease everyone that gives you feedback. And what we've really had to do is we set our mission, and that was we're going to help people de-stress, right? Reduce stress, manage stress. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I am the most stressed out is when I'm trying to manage a bunch of stuff. There's just clutter. I have 15 different things going on. So our whole approach was, let's keep it as simple as possible. It started off just the candle, right? It had a candle. You scan it with a QR code and it brings up our web app. On our web app, there's a 3-minute breathing exercise. There's, we call them a de-stress activity that's updated daily. Go out, take a walk, drink enough water. There's a journaling prompt that changes daily, and then there's a playlist. Started off just like that. And what we found is people are using the journal prompts a lot. So we actually came out with a journal to complement the candle, but then we said, let's prove that this works first. And so we have all these different ideas, and it really is just about saying, does this help someone reduce their stress? No, put it on the back burner. We have a big list. I don't think it's audio, so a big one. I'm using my hands to show really big.
Yeah.
Of things we could do and we'd like to do, but it's just not the right time. So we really want to focus on what we know works from personal experience and from feedback we're getting, and then build it from there.
Awesome. And were the candles being sold somewhere before this, or was it just like hobby/gifting?
Yep. Exactly. It was my partner Brian's hobby. Like it was his therapy, One of the things that I'm fortunate enough to have found out, Brian is fortunate to found out, you with comedy, I'm sure have found this out, is that if you find something you really love doing, a lot of times it provides you that therapeutic outlet. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be something as simple as exercise, making candles. I do a lot of woodworking. This was Brian's therapeutic thing that helped him just clear his head, focus on one thing, let all the complicated parts of life kind of fade away for an amount of time. So hadn't been launched. That was kind of how we got it started. But then it's started to build into something a lot bigger where, candles are great, but I think with what we're doing, we can actually make an impact in people's lives.
Yeah, and it's interesting with those hobbies that can help. And sometimes, and I was talking to you before we came on, like I canceled a gig this week because though being on stage is something that I really love doing, if I'm not doing it maybe with the right people or for the right purpose, then it takes it away. And I almost think like any hobbies like that, right? If it becomes too much of a burden, then it's like, forget it, basically.
And I think also, we were talking about expectations earlier. I think that that's a big player in that as well. Because I think when you have something you love doing, you hear a lot of people say, find your passion and you'll never work another day in your life. And I think people's expectations get wrapped around that. And what they find is they have something they love, but the reason they love it is because it's not work. And then when they turn it into work, now it is work. And so no matter what you're doing, there are good parts and bad parts and frustrating parts of everything. So I definitely know what you mean, because I've had things, I did music for years. And once I went after that, and tried to make that an actual profession, that's when the stress came. That's when, you're on the road and you don't know how you're going to get to your next show and don't have enough money to eat. And you're like, I really like doing this, but is it worth it, Yeah. So as long as you have those right expectations, I think you can get through anything.
That's true. And what's your relationship with music now? And can you talk a little bit about how your music career went? And then we'll go back to Find Your Steady a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, my relationship to music right now is I write songs still and I play them for my kids. That's about it. Which is, completely a 180 from what it was. I started playing guitar when I was 10. I always thought it would be cool to be a rock star. That was the dream, be a rock star. And so that brought me out to California after college, and I played in a band out there for I think 7 years. We didn't make it big or anything. We went on some tours around the country, so that was cool. That was kind of the goal I'd set. I at least want to do that. And then, like I talked about, the work side of it came in. Like if you're an independent band and you're booking shows across the country where absolutely nobody knows who you are, it can get really stressful. And the people that make it, I have so much respect for them because they're the ones who could just keep going and going and going, and they hold on to that goal. And I was going and going and going, and realized that I didn't think it was what I thought it would be, and kind of reevaluated my priorities and stuff like that. So still play, still love it. I write more than anything these days. I was playing with a band, and then the pandemic hit, so that kind of, I took that as a sign. So we're not doing that anymore. But yeah, I think I played bands from the time I was 15 until I was 27. So that was a big part of my life, and it helps. When you're starting a business, if you can convince someone to let your band come play a show that maybe 2 people show up to and pay you $100 in gas money to do that, I think you can sell anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and then looking at your other work experience, I mean, we worked together for a while. So we were at Pro Flowers, so that was the e-commerce, early e-commerce, really, back then. And then you went into other businesses, into real estate and stuff. So how do you look at the career you've had up till now and how it prepared you to start your own business and kind of decisions you make now?
Yeah, absolutely. I've started a handful of businesses. I've got the weirdest work experience ever. So we were at Pro Flowers. I worked at a guitar shop before that. I did a stint with Enterprise Rent-A-Car before that. That was fun. And then I did music full time. And then once I kind of hit that point, I actually started a beer cheese business. So my grandfather grew up in Kentucky here in the United States. And beer cheese is a big thing. So anyone from Kentucky will know what that is. And I was out in California where there's like this big, micro brew scene. So I asked my grandfather if I could use his recipe, and I started making it with craft beers. And again, it was one of those things where I didn't know what I was doing. I made it. I went to farmer's market. I had to be in front of people. So that really taught me just being out of my comfort zone. And if you want something, there are going to be things you have to do are not in your kind of existing tool belt, but you got to go figure it out anyways. After that, I started a business called Easily with a buddy of mine from San Diego that was early drag and drop graphic design online. So it was like all based around infographics. And again, same thing. We're pitching to VCs and trying to raise money and building something from scratch, convincing people to go use it. And that again, got me way out of my comfort zone. I had no idea what I was doing, anything, with online or tech or anything like that. And then I went into a sales job, and that led me into real estate. And I had a real estate investing company for 4 years, where again, I had to learn on my feet. And I think to kind of bring it full circle, it all prepared me to get out of my comfort zone with what I'm doing now, because I do know how to, I know how to meditate. I know how to journal. I know how to coach people through that stuff. But there's a difference between knowing how to do something and then convincing people to go try it. And that is, well outside of my comfort zone. Like the whole, online marketing thing is not something I have a lot of experience with. So that's what my heavy focus is on right now, is just convincing people to give it a try and educate them. And, who's gonna automatically think, oh, here's a candle, I should go de-stress with it, So yeah, I think realistically what all of that does, it taught me how to get uncomfortable. It taught me how to be okay with failing, as long as I learned something from it. You hear all the fail fast, but I don't think enough people say, make sure you learn something from it. And that kind of got me to where I am today and got me comfortable with being uncomfortable and willing to take some risks. And, a big part of that also is understanding that even if it doesn't go well, I can figure it out and I can land on my feet. I think that's something that a lot of people who start businesses is one of the things that they can be confident in. It's like, even if this goes completely wrong, I've done it enough times to know I can get back up on my feet.
Yeah, it's that resilience and belief that you can do that. It's not saying everything will work out in the end, though that's part of it, but it's also that you can be active in getting back on your feet.
Absolutely. It's asking yourself, is there a chance that this could work out? And is that chance worth the work it takes to put in? And if it is, go do it. If it's not, don't. There are plenty of great ideas that people didn't go after because they would have, wasted their time. But as long as you truly feel like there is even the most minute chance and you feel like it's worth it, if you can accomplish what you're looking to accomplish to go out and put the work in, then I go for it. I mean, I look at what you're doing now. I love watching your comedy, and you know, knowing from when we first met, and I always thought you had one of the best senses of humor because it's so dry, and the fact that you're in England right now, I think it's just perfect. Because I think of like dry humor and the original Office and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh God, she's got to be killing it. Yeah. But like, I look at that, and if I was like, I want to be a comedian, I would immediately think, is there a chance this could succeed for myself? And the answer would be no. So that would answer that first question. And then the second part would be, is it worth the work that I've seen you put in? And I'm like, no, that chance is so small for me, and I'm not that funny. So no, it wouldn't. But
yeah,
there is a chance I could help people better deal with stress, especially right now. Everyone's stressed.
Yeah. Well, I'm just listening to you talk about, and thank you, by the way, and I appreciate that. And I kind of recently have had that. I didn't ask myself that question of if I could possibly succeed until a while into it, because I didn't have the belief in myself, other than I just had more like, this was my goal, is to get on stage. It wasn't having a belief in myself. And recently that's changed a little bit, which has made it even more difficult in a way, but in a good way, right? It's just kind of like, there's a purpose to what I'm doing, and it's not the one I thought it was, you know? But so for you with Find Your Steady, and just in listening to you talk, I mean, one thing you touched on is that you do meditate and you do know how to journal. And so you're writing all the blogs for this company, and you're handling probably the text in the app and stuff like that. And so is that a shift for you in a different kind of purpose around what you're doing business-wise, which is now like seeking to help people versus maybe what you did before?
Yeah, I've always tried to find some sense that everything I did helped people. You know, I worked for a company that sold education product, and you could look at it either way. You know, some people would look at it and say that's a waste of money, and it doesn't help anyone. And then I saw plenty of people, like I still keep in touch with someone that bought something from me who was 3 guys, and they went on and they built a very successful business out of it. So, you know, helping people and serving people in some ways has always been kind of an underlying principle of mine. Very principled, very idealistic, to a fault. Even with the writing, with the journaling prompts, I've always been into that. I've always liked doing it. I haven't necessarily done it in this capacity, but I do some coaching. I've done it for years on the side where, you know, I work with people who are looking to accomplish different goals. It's never necessarily been anything I've done as a business. I just love doing it. And so what I found is that the experience I get from that coaching side of things has helped me write some of the articles, has helped me come up with, you know, the daily journaling prompts or things that I've asked myself in the past that have helped me and that I really wanted to answer. And, you know, even like with our de-stress activities, it's things that I constantly have to remind myself. Like sometimes, you know, every now and then it'll legitimately be the daily de-stress activity is go outside and go for a walk. Like the simplest thing anyone can do, but there is so much research that is shown by going for a walk for 10 or 15 minutes can drastically reduce your stress levels. It's insane. And so that is something that I've really wanted to put out there and communicate with people and help people better understand. And, you know, a lot of it comes from also habits. You know, I've meditated for 10 years now, not because I want to or I'm trying to achieve, you know, Zen or Nirvana or anything like that. It's just because I'm literally stressed out. I get anxiety and I have to do it. But it didn't come easily at first. But now that I've done it for this long, it's ingrained in me. So, you know, part of what we're looking to do also is help people build these habits of, you know, whether you want to call it meditation or taking a few moments to breathe every day, whether you want to call it journaling or writing down some thoughts in the morning or before you go to bed. Like getting stuff out of your head is an amazing medicine. Things like drinking enough water every day. Like I literally had to build a habit to where now I drink about 100 ounces of water a day, and I thought I was drinking plenty. In reality, I was drinking maybe half of that, and I was always dehydrated, and that made me tired. So that was a very long way to answer your question, but all of these things combined allow me to go write an article on why you should drink water, or the most recent one, why you should just pause before you react to anything, or why journaling or taking a walk or taking 5 minutes or 3 minutes to breathe every day can drastically change your life. All of that is kind of full circle on helping people understand that there are small things you can do to find that equilibrium within stress. Again, you're never going to get rid of stress, and you don't want to. There's good and bad stress, but if you can do little things one at a time, build them into habits, then you really can go from, say, an 8 to a 6. If you go from an 8 to a 6 on a daily basis, your life is going to be drastically better. And that's what we want to help people do.
That's great, yeah. And so just people can basically go on, buy a candle. They can buy the bundle with the journal if they want to try the journaling, or they can just get the candle and do the app and see what it does, or send it to someone, basically.
Exactly. Yep. I've sent it to quite a few people just because, this isn't something, especially, like, I hate to say it, but there are a lot of guys that could benefit from something like this that I know won't, whether it's a machismo thing or I'm not into it or just the whole, candles thing. But if you're listening and, this isn't to sell a product, because there's a lot of other things you could get somebody to help them out. There's some amazing apps. There's, programs out there. There's a lot of good stuff. But if there's someone who is stressed out or, struggling from mental health issues or something, sending them something thoughtful by itself helps immensely. But making that thing something they can actually utilize to help in the littlest way is a huge thing. So we always recommend people, even if you don't think this is for you, if there's someone you think could benefit from it, definitely send it.
Yeah, well, that's great. So as far as, we've talked quite a bit and you talk about your practices and stuff, but is there any advice or mantra that you want to share that just you kind of think it's something that's important for everybody to remember, other than what you've already said?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to reiterate a couple things. If you take nothing else from this interview or this podcast, there are a few little things if you do daily, you will see a drastic difference. One, go to bed. Just people go to sleep. Get sleep. Like, everyone these days is, I'll sleep and I'm dead, or 5 hours of sleep is not enough. Try and get 7-8 hours a night. I know I'm preaching here, but it drastically changed my life. Especially if you can get in a routine where most of the time you're going to bed at the same time and you're getting up at the same time, it's a life changer. The other thing is try and find a few moments a day to breathe. If you can just sit in a quiet space, breathe in and just focus on your breath, and breathe out. Breathe in for 3, hold it for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3. It's a game changer. It takes a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you want to do it. And then, like I said, drink more water. It's one of the things that I never would have thought would have contributed to stress like it has for me, but I found that when I drink enough water, I am not as tired, I'm not as worn out, I'm not as cranky, and they say minimum you should be drinking about half your body weight in ounces of water a day and up from there. So that's what I want people to take away from this call, if nothing else, and hope it helps.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And it's funny, I didn't do it this time, but every time you say drink water, I drink water. Yeah. It's like a Pavlovian response. So we should just record your voice saying that every hour. I should hear it, and I'll be good. I'm going to
do that. I'm going to do a drink water meditation where someone just sits there for 3 minutes and it's just me saying drink water every 5 seconds.
Perfect. And then they'll be really mad at you about 25, 30 minutes from then.
True, but then, a day later, they're like, oh gosh, that guy Patrick, he's so swell.
Great. All right. So now I just have the last set of questions. They're called the Fun 5, and they're questions I just ask everybody. Okay. So the first one, what's the oldest t-shirt you have and still wear?
I have a t-shirt, so I'm 39 years old now. I have a t-shirt that I got when I was 16 at a Goodwill store. It's a DARE shirt. I don't remember what it stands for. It's like the drug.
I know what you mean. It was the DARE, like DARE to keep kids off drugs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like neon. It's a black t-shirt, and it's neon. When I bought it when I was 16, so what is that, 23 years ago? It was probably 20 years old at that point. So it's one of those, you can tell when it came out, it was one of those like beefy tees, incredibly uncomfortable, doesn't fit well, but it's literally just like the most comfortable shirt I own. And I love everyone, like every time I see it, people are like, oh, I remember DARE. That's cool.
Yeah. Nice. That's cool. And then if every day was really Groundhog's Day, like it used to feel like during the pandemic, and sometimes now, what song would you have your alarm clock set to play every morning?
Oh man, there's a song that I don't know when it came out, but a buddy of mine from high school sent it to me last summer. It's by a band named Koala, and it's called Ticket to Ride. I call it my summer song, and it is one of these songs where you can't not be in a better mood when during and after listening to it and start dancing. So yeah, that would definitely be one of those I can't get tired of songs.
Yeah.
Drink water.
I thought you were going to talk more, so I did. I drink water. All right. Coffee or tea or neither?
Both. So coffee in the morning, and then there's a tea. I actually just drank some now, and that's why I'm talking so fast too. What is it called? Guayasa tea. It's like they call it. I'm a total marketer's dream. They sold it as like Amazonian warrior tea that they've been drinking for centuries, and I'm like, all right, sign me up. So I do coffee in the morning, 1.5 cups, and then tea. If I need to pick me up, I'll do tea, but nothing after 2 p.m. or I can't sleep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know, and I had coffee late, but I just reheated it, and if I have it late enough, it won't get me until later. So I get to sleep, and then I wake up and edit podcasts in the middle of the night.
Well, you should just drink water next time you wake up. It'll help.
I know. I should. Drink water. I'll just have it in my head, drink water. All right, and can you think of something that just, like, cracks you up, or, like, last time you, like, laughed so hard you cried?
So I have two daughters. One of them's 7, one of them's 3.5. And they've gotten really into the Sing 2. There's a movie called Sing 2. It's a kid's movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And lately, they've learned the songs, but they don't know all the lyrics, but they keep singing them and just make them up as they go. So that I almost crashed our car because I was laughing so hard. It's terrible to say, but it was one of the funniest things I'd ever heard. I forget what song were we listening to. I don't remember the song it was from the soundtrack, but the name Steve was in it, the name Roger was in it, which has nothing to do with the song, but it's one of those things that, like, my kids are so funny, like that whole kids say the darndest things. Like, when you have kids these age, they can be like the most frustrating people in the world, but the gold. Like, if we had a recording at all times, not at all times, but like around them, we'd be millionaires. They just say the funniest stuff.
Yeah, no, they're great. And I mean, just the misunderstood song lyrics are funny anyway, but kids do come up with wild ones, for sure. That's awesome. Okay, and then who inspires you right now?
That was a journaling prompt the other day. Man, you ever get those questions where it's hard to think about it, and so it seems like you don't have anyone, but really you're trying to go through all these people in your head?
Well, and I purposely did right now versus, like, ever, because, like, sometimes, it changes, but I'm inspired by someone today that maybe a month ago I didn't even know them or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be.
Yep.
Yeah. But you don't have to put one person. You can say whatever you want.
So I just read this book. It's called Stolen Focus, and it's by a guy named, I hope I don't mispronounce his name, Johan Hari. Johan Hari. I just finished it, and it talks about how as a society our focus has really diminished. And it starts off him taking this trip for 3 months to somewhere in Cape Cod, and he leaves his phone and his internet, his computer that has internet behind, and he's a journalist, he has this laptop, does this whole thing. He starts to get his focus back and starts to notice things, stuff like that. And so it sends him on this kind of journey to better understand what's causing our attention, and it really comes back to the idea that we can only do so much as individuals to get our attention back, because there are kind of external forces at play that have a lot of money and are very smart at taking our attention. And then it started to talk about how kids are affected by that. It kind of had me look at, how my kids interact with technology and stuff like that. So I would say him, because that book could have gone a completely different direction, and the stuff he was writing is not going to be a popular idea, but it seems like he hit the nail on the head. So I'm always inspired by people who go out on a limb to do what's right, and I think that's what he did with that book. So if we're saying right now, I would say it's him.
Amazing. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I think it's interesting when people kind of are looking at the impact of stuff on kids too, because I think from the pandemic and then technology and everything, it's not going to be really known for another 10 or 20 years, and then it's going to be kind of, we wish we would have done something, probably, is my guess.
Yep.
But,
he did a really cool job, because he also presented, like, if there's contradictory evidence to the point he was making, he was transparent. He said, look, this is this, but there's also other people within the body of science who disagree with this, and here's what they say. I thought that was really cool, because, most of these books you read, it's very one-sided, and they like give you these facts, but they don't tell you that there are 10 other facts along with this one that say something else, and let you as the reader or the consumer make up your mind.
No, that's great. Cool. And then if people want to find you, Patrick, where should they go?
Honestly, find your steady. I'm completely off social media by choice for about 3 years now. When it comes to stress, I found that when I was on Facebook, it got very divisive. Instagram took all my time. Like, I just sit there and, maybe I was addicted to it. I have no idea. But 3 years ago, I made the choice to completely get off that. So, really, if they want to find me, follow me through Find Your Steady. I'm writing all the articles. I'm running a lot of the social media we do through those sites. But that's kind of it. I want people to know me for the work instead of me.
Yeah. No, that's great. Cool. Well, thanks, Patrick. I really appreciate you being on More Than Work, and it's nice to catch up.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me.
Thanks for listening. You can learn more about the guest and what was talked about in the show notes. Joe Maffia created the music you're listening to. You can find him on Spotify at Joe, Maffia. Rob Metke does all the design, for which I am so grateful. You can find him online by searching Rob, Metke. Please leave a review if you like the show, and get in touch if you have feedback or guest ideas. The pod is on all the social channels at More Than Work Pod or at Rabia Comedy on TikTok, and the website is morethanworkpod.com. While being kind to others, don't forget to be kind to yourself.